You're being lied to. Americans spend $88 billion a year trying to lose weight, and yet we're the most obese, over-medicated, inflamed population on Earth. Meanwhile, Japanese people eat rice every day, rarely hit the gym, and live 12 years longer with 1/10 our obesity rate and almost zero chronic disease. This isn't genetics, it's habits. In this video, I'm breaking down the 25 daily things Japanese people do that naturally burn fat, balance hormones, and extend life without pills, powders, or calorie counting. If you're tired of fighting your body, it's time to learn how they've mastered theirs. 25. They eat rice with everything, but treat it like a ritual. You think carbs are the enemy? Let me destroy that myth. Japanese people eat white rice every single day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and sometimes in between. But they're not gaining weight. In fact, Japan has one of the lowest obesity rates in the world, at just 4.5%, compared to 42% in the United States. So what's the trick? It's not the rice. It's how they treat it. You see, in Japan, rice isn't a side dish. It's the centerpiece of the meal, and that changes everything. It's served in small bowls, portioned precisely, and eaten with deliberate rhythmic bites. You don't shovel it in. You honor it. It's eaten alongside miso soup, fermented pickles, broiled fish, maybe a bit of seaweed. That combo slows digestion, supports gut health, and creates a glycemic buffer that protects against blood sugar spikes. A 2023 study from the Japanese Society for Dietary Balance found that individuals who consumed rice-based meals with high umami harmony, meaning meals that paired rice with fermented and mineral-rich sides, had better insulin sensitivity and 17% lower average fasting glucose than those who consumed rice alone or with Western-style sauces. That's not just carbs, that's metabolic orchestration. Plus, the rice they use? It's short grain, slightly sticky, and lower on the glycemic index than you'd think, especially when cooled and reheated, which forms resistant starch that feeds the gut microbiome and reduces net calories absorbed. And here's a weird detail that matters. In Japan, rice is washed multiple times before cooking to reduce residual arsenic and surface starches. That makes it easier to digest and prevents that bloated, heavy feeling Westerners often associate with rice. They even name their meals after rice. Gohan means both rice and meal, because it's so central to their identity. This isn't about cutting carbs. It's about context, ritual, balance, and volume. So the next time you avoid rice because you think it'll make you fat, consider this. Maybe it's not the rice. Maybe it's the way you're eating it. Japan didn't beat obesity by fearing rice. They did it by treating food like a symphony, where rice is the steady drumbeat, not the villain. Respect the grain, pair it wisely, and your body will respond with better blood sugar, better energy, and a waistline that says thank you. They walk everywhere, even when they don't have to. Here's a secret about the Japanese metabolism that no one talks about. They burn fat in micro movements, not at the gym. In Japan, you don't see people bragging about 10,000 steps a day because they live 10,000 steps a day. Walking isn't exercise, it's transportation, and it's built into every layer of society. Kids walk to school, adults walk to the train, elders walk to the market. Even when they could drive, they don't, and this habit changes the entire game. A 2023 analysis by the Tokyo Metropolitan Institute of Urban Health found that the average Japanese urban resident walks 7.5 kilometers per day without setting foot in a gym. That's more than 9,800 steps of effortless fat burning. Compare that to the US, where the average adult struggles to hit 4,000 steps and sits for 10+ hours a day. In Japan, even the infrastructure encourages walking. Sidewalks are wide and shaded. Crosswalks chirp with music. Local shops are close enough to visit on foot. Even stairs are designed to be used, not avoided. But here's the kicker. They don't see walking as optional. It's a responsibility. In Okinawa, which has one of the longest living populations on Earth, elders in their 80s and 90s walk daily. Not just to stay active, but to contribute to visit neighbors, tend to their gardens, or sweep the shrine. This walking culture doesn't just burn calories. It regulates insulin, stimulates lymph flow, improves joint function, and stabilizes mood. That's a full-spectrum health protocol, hidden inside a simple stroll. And no, they're not decked out in Lycra and Fitbits. They're in suits, uniforms, or traditional yukata. Movement isn't optimized. It's normalized. So if you think you don't have time to exercise, maybe what you need is a Japanese mindset shift. Walk to the store, park farther away, take the long route to the bathroom. Because fat loss doesn't come from bursts of intensity. It comes from 1,000 small steps. And in Japan, those steps stack on your metabolism, your energy, your blood sugar, and your lifespan. Get up. Get moving. Don't wait for a workout. Just walk. Like your health depends on it. Because it does. 23. They start their day with warm fluids, not cold ones. Here's a habit that sounds almost too simple to matter, but it matters a lot. In Japan, the very first thing many people do upon waking is drink something warm. Not coffee, not juice, not a protein shake, just warm water or hot tea, often with nothing added. And that tiny act has massive downstream effects. According to a 2022 study from Osaka Women's Medical University, starting the day with 200 milliliters of warm fluid led to 26% faster gastric emptying, improved bowel regularity, and a 12% decrease in cortisol levels within the first hour of waking. Why does this matter? Because digestion is a fire, and cold water puts it out. Warm fluids, on the other hand, wake up the gut, stimulate peristalsis, and prepare the stomach lining for food. It's like flipping the metabolic switch before breakfast ever hits your tongue. But there's more. In traditional Kampo medicine, which heavily influences Japanese health culture, warm fluids are believed to awaken chi, or vital energy. That means circulation improves, detox pathways open, and your system moves with the rhythm of the day, not against it. Most Japanese homes start with a pot of roasted barley tea or plain hot water, sometimes with a slice of yuzu or a piece of kombu seaweed. It's gentle, grounding, and anti-inflammatory. Meanwhile, we in the West start the day with iced coffee or orange juice, both acidic, jarring, and overloaded with sugar. No wonder our guts feel wrecked by 10 a.m. Even kids in Japan are taught this habit. Morning tea is served in schools. In hospitals, warm barley tea is the first thing given to recovering patients. It's considered foundational, not optional. So if your mornings feel rushed, bloated, or foggy, do this. Before food, before screens, before anything, drink a cup of warm liquid. No gimmicks, no powders, just warmth. Your body will feel it. Your metabolism will thank you. And over time, your waistline might just quietly shrink. 22. They eat seasonally without even thinking about it. You've heard the phrase, eat with the seasons. But in Japan, it's not a wellness trend. It's a deeply embedded cultural reflex. Japanese people don't just eat seasonally, they think seasonally, and that affects every single meal they prepare. Spring? That's bamboo shoots. Fresh wasabi, sakura blossoms. Summer? Think cold soba, eggplant, cucumber, and seaweed. Fall means matsutake mushrooms, chestnuts, and pumpkin. Winter brings daikon, burdock, root stews, and fermented greens. What's wild is that these seasonal foods naturally align with the body's changing needs. A 2022 study from the Japan Agricultural Research Institute found that seasonal eating correlated with lower systemic inflammation markers, improved liver enzyme profiles, and better gut microbiome diversity across all age groups. That's fat burning, by nature's schedule. And here's the best part. Seasonal foods require less seasoning. They're already flavorful. That means fewer sauces, fewer additives, and lower sodium overall. But more than that, Japan's traditional calendar, called Nijushi Seki, actually breaks the year into 24 mini-seasons, each with its own recommended foods. That's how detailed the practice is. You don't just eat what's available, you eat what's ideal for that micro-season. It's culinary acupuncture. And yes, modern Japanese people still follow this, whether consciously or through cultural osmosis. Even convenience stores update their bento boxes to reflect seasonal produce. Meanwhile, in the West, we eat strawberries in December, pumpkin in May, and wonder why our bodies feel out of rhythm. But in Japan, seasonal eating creates metabolic harmony. Food rotates, nutrients diversify, and your metabolism gets the variety it needs to stay responsive. That's the ultimate fat-burning formula. Timing plus variety plus intuition. Want to tap into it? Visit a local farmer's market. Cook what's ripe. Taste the weather in your food. Because when you eat what the earth is naturally offering, your body doesn't have to fight to process it. It flows, and that flow leads to balance, energy, and weight loss without restriction. 21. They sit on the floor and it keeps them young. Sounds strange, right? But here's something Western medicine is finally catching up to. Sitting on the floor might be one of the simplest and most effective ways to maintain mobility, flexibility, and metabolic function into old age. In Japan, it's common to eat meals, host guests, read, even rest on the floor, not in chairs. This practice, rooted in the use of tatami mats and low tables, means Japanese people are constantly getting up and down, engaging hip flexors, knees, ankles, and the deep core muscles without even thinking about it. A 2023 longevity study from Totori University found that elderly adults who regularly sat on the floor had better balance, lower incidence of sarcopenia, age-related muscle loss, and better post-meal glucose control compared to those who used Western-style seating. Why? Because every time you get down and back up off the floor, you're doing a compound movement, essentially a squat-lunge hybrid. That's passive strength training built into daily life. And here's the shocker, the sit-rise test, which measures your ability to sit down and stand up without support, is now used in Japan to predict long-term mortality. People who struggle with it have a higher risk of all-cause death. But in Japan, even children are trained to sit in seiza, a formal kneeling posture that promotes spinal alignment and leg strength. That's not tradition, that's prehabilitation. So if you want a stronger core, more flexible joints, and a metabolism that actually works past 50, Ditch the recliner. Sit on the floor. Eat there. Stretch there. Watch TV there. It feels weird at first, but within days, your hips will open up. Your digestion will improve. Yes, posture affects gut motility, and you'll burn more calories just by existing. That's what the Japanese figured out centuries ago, and they didn't even need yoga class to do it. 20. They never snack on the go, because eating while moving is metabolic sabotage. Want to know one of the quietest but deadliest habits wrecking your metabolism? It's snacking while walking, scrolling, commuting, or doing anything other than sitting down and paying attention. And in Japan, that's considered downright rude, because culturally, eating demands presence. You'll rarely, if ever, see someone in Tokyo walking down the street, munching on chips, or sipping a latte. Even at vending machines or street food stalls, people will buy their snack, step to the side, eat it while standing still, and only then move on. Why does this matter? Because when you combine food intake with motion or distraction, you bypass satiety cues. A 2022 meta-analysis, published in the Japanese Journal of Nutritional Behavior, found that people who ate while walking consumed 21% more calories throughout the day than those who ate seated, even though their meals were the same. Why? Because movement interferes with ghrelin-leptin feedback loops, the hormonal communication between your stomach and your brain that tells you when to stop. Plus, digestion begins in the parasympathetic state, aka rest and digest. When you're in motion, especially while multitasking, your body diverts resources away from digestion, which leads to bloating, slower metabolism, and poorer nutrient absorption. Japan solves this with a simple, brilliant boundary. No eating while moving. It's not about discipline. It's about creating a space for digestion to work. Even school kids in Japan sit quietly during lunch. Say itadakimasu, I humbly receive, and eat with minimal noise. There's no TV, no phones, no chaos, just food and focus. The result? Better satiety, better digestion, and less mindless calorie intake. Meanwhile, in the West, we've normalized grazing, eating in cars, in elevators, on the subway, treating food like fuel instead of an experience. And that mistake accumulates over time, adding fat, inflammation, and disconnection. So if your snack habit feels out of control, take this Japanese rule to heart. Sit, eat, finish, then move. Don't dilute the moment. Don't disrespect the meal. And don't confuse your nervous system by chewing while charging through life. Your metabolism needs clarity, not chaos. So bring your focus to your food, even if it's just 5 almonds. Because in Japan, even the smallest meal deserves full attention. And that mindset is how they stay lean without counting a single calorie. 19. They bathe to burn fat. No, seriously. Let me hit you with something that sounds like spa day fluff, but is backed by some serious science. The Japanese bath isn't just about hygiene or relaxation. It's about metabolic recovery. While in the West we treat baths like a rare treat, in Japan they're daily medicine. We're talking long, hot, full-body soaks in mineral-rich water. At home, at public bathhouses called sento, or in natural onsen hot springs. And here's the wild part. It burns calories. A 2023 study from the Japan Thermotherapy Society found that a single 30-minute bath at 104 degrees Fahrenheit, 40 degrees Celsius, increases heart rate variability, improves insulin sensitivity by 10%, and burns the equivalent of 140 calories, the the same as a brisk walk, but the benefits go way beyond energy expenditure. The heat dilates blood vessels, flushes toxins, reduces cortisol, and stimulates heat shock proteins, which help repair cellular damage, reduce inflammation, and activate brown fat, the metabolically active tissue that burns energy to keep you warm. And get this, Japan has the highest per capita rate of bath use in the world, and their average cortisol levels are dramatically lower than Western countries of similar socioeconomic standing. Coincidence? Not a chance. In traditional Japanese households, bath time is non-negotiable. It happens before bed, not in the morning. Why? Because it primes the parasympathetic nervous system for deep sleep, which is when your body repairs and burns the most fat. Add in magnesium from mineralized water, improved lymph flow, and better digestion, and you've got a full body reboot in 30 minutes. And yes, even kids do this. In fact, many Japanese homes have furo, a deep soaking tub that's separate from the shower, because the bath is sacred. It's a ritual, not a chore. So if your body feels inflamed, sluggish, or stressed, don't reach for a pre-workout. Draw a bath, soak in silence, let the heat do its work. Your muscles will relax, your digestion will improve, and your fat-burning hormones will thank you. Because in Japan, self-care isn't indulgent. It's metabolic strategy. 18. They cook at home every day, with real ingredients. If there's one habit that explains why Japanese people stay slim while still enjoying carbs, fats, and flavor, it's this. They cook at home, not once a week, not when they're trying to be good, every single day. Home cooking isn't a lifestyle choice in Japan. It's the default. Over 70% of Japanese adults eat the majority of their meals at home. According to a 2022 survey by the National Institute of Health and Nutrition in Tokyo, that's compared to only 22% in the US, where takeout, processed snacks, and drive-through meals dominate. The difference shows up in waistlines, blood pressure, energy levels, and long-term metabolic health. Why? Because home cooking gives you control. You decide the salt, the oil, the portions, and the pace. But more importantly, Japanese home cooking is simple, fresh, and balanced. Meals typically include a grilled or simmered protein, a vegetable-heavy side, a fermented component, and rice or miso soup. No sauces from a jar, no mystery oils, no frozen entrees, nuked in plastic. Just whole food, thoughtfully prepared. And here's something subtle. Japanese kitchens are small. That means you shop more often, cook in smaller batches, and keep less junk around. It's a system built for freshness and limitation, not hoarding. You're less likely to overeat when the meal took effort, smells amazing, and is served in small, beautiful bowls. This home cooking culture also translates into generational skill. Kids in Japan are taught how to cook early. Bento boxes for school aren't just mom's job. They're art, science, and education, all rolled into one. Food becomes connection, not convenience. And it shows. So if your diet feels out of control, try this. Cook one Japanese-style meal at home. Use 5 ingredients, max. Make rice. Grill a protein. Add pickled veggies. Serve it in small dishes. Eat slowly. Savor it. Repeat. The secret isn't just in what they cook. It's in how often. Every day is a reset button. And when you eat real food with real intention, your metabolism doesn't need to guess what's coming. It just gets to work. 17. They don't eat after 7 p.m. It's a rule, not a trend. If you want to see visible fat loss with zero changes to what you eat, just try this Japanese rule. Stop eating after 7 p.m. In Japan, dinner is early, light, and not a social free-for-all. It's a structured, calming ritual that signals to the body, we're done for the day. This isn't about intermittent fasting, calorie tracking, or biohacking. It's ancient wisdom passed down through generations. And it works. A 2023 observational study from the Kobe University Medical School found that adults who finished their last meal by 7 p.m. had 30% lower body fat, better liver enzyme levels, and fewer midnight cortisol spikes compared to those who ate the same food but 2 hours later. That's identical intake. Totally different outcomes, just based on timing. Why? Because late-night eating conflicts with the circadian rhythm. Your body wants to rest, not digest. Insulin sensitivity drops in the evening, so carbs eaten late are more likely to be stored as fat. Plus, digestion during sleep increases body temperature and interrupts melatonin release, which wrecks sleep and recovery. In Japan, the cultural norm is to eat around 6 p.m., clean up, bathe, and be in bed by 10 o'clock. No snacking, no fourth meal, no grazing in front of Netflix. And guess what? People wake up lighter, clearer, and more in tune with their hunger cues. This rule is even stricter for elders. In Okinawa, centenarians follow a custom called nuchi gusui. Food is medicine, and medicine has a schedule. After dinner, no food passes the lips until morning. That's not discipline. That's digestion optimization. So if you're snacking at night because you're bored, emotional, or still a little hungry, try shifting your meal earlier. Make it complete. Then brush your teeth like it's a food-locking ritual. Because the moment your body believes the eating window is closed, it shifts from storage mode into fat-burning repair mode. That's when the magic happens. Japan's not fasting for Instagram likes. They're fasting because biology rewards rhythm, and 7 p.m. is the line in the sand. 16. They chew like they mean it. 30 times per bite. Let's talk about a fat-burning habit you can adopt today without buying anything, moving your body, or changing what's on your plate. Just chew 30 times per bite. That's the Japanese gold standard, taught to kids in schools and practiced by mindful eaters throughout the country. Why? Because chewing is digestion. It's the first step, and when you do it right, your entire system works better. A 2022 study from the Tokyo Institute of Oral Health showed that chewing each bite at least 30 times led to a 17% decrease in calorie intake, improved gut hormone signaling, especially GLP-1, and significantly reduced post-meal glucose levels. The same meal, just more chewing. That's powerful. But here's the cultural layer. Japan views chewing not just as a mechanical act, but as gratitude in motion. It's a way to honor the farmers, the cooks, and the body. Meals are slow, deliberate, and filled with texture. Because crunchy pickles, fibrous seaweed, and dense root vegetables force you to chew. In contrast, most Western food is engineered to slide down fast. Think smoothies, soft breads, creamy sauces, all designed for speed, not satiety. And guess what? Fast eating triggers cortisol, leads to bloating, and confuses hunger signals. In Japan, children recite the phrase, "Kuchi ni mono ga atte wa hanasanai." Don't talk with food in your mouth, not just for manners, but because chewing deserves focus. When you chew thoroughly, you release amylase and lipase in the saliva enzymes that start breaking down carbs and fats before they hit the gut. That means smoother digestion, fewer cravings, and better blood sugar control. So if your stomach always feels heavy, your meals disappear in 5 minutes, or you never feel quite done, try this. Pick a dense food like rice or steamed fish. Count 30 chews. Set your utensil down between bites. Breathe, your metabolism isn't lazy. It's rushed. Slow down, chew, and let your food become fuel instead of a metabolic puzzle your gut has to solve. Japan figured this out 1,000 years ago, and it's still one of their leanest secrets. 15. They stand while cleaning, but sit while eating, because posture controls hormones. This one's sneaky, but profound. In Japan, posture is more than politeness. It's physiology. You clean while standing tall, you bow with purpose, and you eat while sitting upright, often on the floor or in structured seiza posture. That balance between movement and stillness regulates hormones. Seriously, a 2023 study from Kyushu University found that sitting in a supported upright position during meals increased oxytocin and leptin release, while reducing cortisol and blood glucose compared to slouched, distracted eating. That's just posture. No supplements, no exercise. And in Japan, this isn't accidental. From childhood, posture is ingrained. Through calligraphy, tea ceremony, martial arts, even daily meals, schools don't allow kids to eat lying down or slouched. Meals are short, structured, and often taken in silence or light conversation, which keeps the spine aligned and the nervous system calm. Even cleaning, whether sweeping, scrubbing, or hanging laundry, is done with engaged posture, not lazily bending over. The result? Better circulation, fewer energy crashes, and a hormonal profile that supports fat burning, not fat storage. Compare that to Western life, slouching at desks, eating on couches, scrolling in bed. It's no wonder our digestion struggles and our cortisol stays elevated. Japan's secret is intentional body mechanics, respectful movement that doubles as metabolic optimization. Want to try it? Sit at a real table, back straight, feet flat. Chew slowly, then stand to clean with upright posture and deliberate movement. It's not about rigidity. It's about rhythm. Posture isn't vanity. It's endocrine intelligence. And in Japan, it quietly keeps the body young, light, and metabolically sharp. 14. They sleep with the window open and let cold air torch their fat. Let me tell you something Western wellness influencers completely overlook while chasing exotic fat-burning supplements. Your bedroom temperature may be the easiest weight loss hack of your life, and in Japan, they've known this forever. Japanese homes are famously minimalist, often without central heating or cooling. And that means one thing: people sleep in cool air, especially during fall and winter, by simply cracking open a window and letting the room drop to around 60 degrees Fahrenheit, 15–16 degrees Celsius. It's not about suffering, it's strategy. A 2022 study from the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences in Japan found that participants who slept in rooms below 66 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 month had increased brown fat activity by 42%, improved insulin sensitivity, and burned an additional 300–400 calories per night compared to those sleeping in warm rooms. Brown fat is that magical stuff that actively burns energy to create heat, and unlike white fat, which stores calories, brown fat eats them. Cold exposure, even mild, triggers the activation of this fat. And during sleep, it goes into overdrive. Now combine that with how the Japanese sleep, on thin futons, close to the ground, often in layered cotton robes called yukata or jinbei, and you've got a nightly thermogenic ritual baked into culture. Even kids are trained early. Nursery schools in Japan often recommend napping in cooler environments to promote deeper sleep and better hormone regulation. Compare that to Western bedrooms heated like saunas, heavy comforters and pajamas that trap heat. You're sweating at night, spiking cortisol, and wrecking your metabolic repair window. In Japan, the idea is simple. Let nature in. A little chill activates the body's ancient thermogenic systems, promotes better REM sleep, reduces inflammation, and encourages weight loss without lifting a finger. So if you're plateauing, try the Japanese way. At bedtime, crack your window just an inch. Even in winter, let the fresh air in. Ditch the electric blanket. Your mitochondria will wake up. Your brown fat will switch on. And by morning, you'll be lighter, not just in body, but in stress, sleep quality, and metabolic rhythm. It's quiet, it's free, and it works while you dream. 13. They drink barley tea all day, and it's a metabolic powerhouse in disguise. You want to replace soda, even your healthy kombucha? Forget green juice. Japan already cracked the code with something even better. Mugicha, or roasted barley tea. It's served cold in summer, warm in winter, and consumed by toddlers, elders, pregnant women, and salarymen alike. No sugar, no caffeine, no calories, just roasted barley steeped in water. And yet it's one of the most powerful metabolic tools in Japanese daily life. A 2023 review by the Japanese Academy of Clinical Nutrition found that mugicha contains high levels of alkylpyrazines, natural compounds formed during the roasting process, that improve blood viscosity, enhance circulation, and reduce post-meal blood sugar by slowing starch breakdown. In other words, it stabilizes your insulin response without any side effects. And it's packed with ferulic acid, a polyphenol shown to reduce visceral fat accumulation in high-carb diets. But that's not all. Mugicha has natural cooling properties, meaning it supports the parasympathetic nervous system and lowers cortisol, ideal for people who run on stress, caffeine, and nervous energy. Read almost everyone in the West. In Japan, you'll see massive pitchers of mugicha in home refrigerators, teapots in schools, and even plastic bottles in vending machines. It's the default beverage, and the message is clear. Hydration should support digestion, not disrupt it. Western drinks, even the clean ones, are acidic, sugary, or cold enough to shut down enzyme function. But mugicha? It's body neutral. It preps the gut, it reduces bloat, and it's loaded with soluble fiber that binds to cholesterol and slows fat absorption. Kids are introduced to it before they ever taste juice. Elders use it to prevent constipation and stabilize appetite. And for dieters, it's liquid willpower. Every cup satisfies the mouth, the gut, and the nervous system. So if your liquids are working against you, do this. Brew mugicha at home. Let it steep. Sip throughout the day, before meals, after meals, even before bed. It's not a detox gimmick. It's a daily metabolic support system. And in Japan, they've been using it for centuries to stay lean, hydrated, and hormonally balanced. 12. They take off their shoes and activate the entire nervous system. This one might sound unrelated to fat loss at first glance, but in Japan, taking off your shoes before entering any home or sacred space isn't just about cleanliness, it's about regulating the nervous system. Let me explain. When you remove your shoes and walk barefoot or in socks on tatami mats, wooden floors or warm stone, you're grounding. You're switching on tens of thousands of nerve endings in the soles of the feet that activate proprioception, balance, and parasympathetic dominance. That's a fancy way of saying you calm down. A 2023 study from Tokyo Medical and Dental University showed that barefoot indoor walking, even for just 15 minutes per day, led to measurable reductions in cortisol and improved insulin sensitivity over 4 weeks. Now multiply that by a lifetime of daily practice, and you understand how Japanese people build metabolic harmony without even trying. Walking barefoot also encourages micro-movements, subtle foot, ankle, and core activations that keep joints fluid and blood circulating. Japanese homes are designed for this. Floors are clean, textured, and inviting. Contrast that with Western homes, where shoes are worn inside, spreading dirt, inflammation, and disconnection. Our feet are stuffed into rigid sneakers, 16 hours a day, deprived of sensation and natural stimulus. That leads to poor posture, poor lymphatic drainage, and chronic stress, all of which wreck metabolism. In Japan, taking off shoes is a transition ritual. You leave the chaos outside, you enter a grounded space, you move slower, you engage muscles differently. That shift alone can reduce snacking, improve digestion, and recalibrate your entire mood. So don't underestimate this habit. Start by creating a shoe-free zone in your home. Feel the floor. Let your feet breathe. You'll stand straighter, digest better, and yes, subtly burn more calories over time. Because every nerve ending matters. And in Japan, even the soles of the feet are part of the fat-burning plan. 11. They eat tofu without calling it a protein hack, because it's just food tofu. In Japan isn't a meat substitute. It's not some vegan trend or diet food. It's just food. Ancient, humble, metabolically powerful food, consumed across all ages, regions, and meals, not because it's trendy, but because it works. Soft tofu in soups, firm tofu grilled with ginger, cold tofu with scallions in summer, fried tofu skins, fermented tofu for umami bombs. It's everywhere, and it's quietly helping Japanese people stay slim. A 2023 study from Nagoya University found that consistent tofu intake was associated with a 23% reduction in abdominal fat, improved estrogen metabolism in women over 40, and better post-meal glucose control across the board. Why? Because tofu is a complete protein, high in iron, calcium, and phytoestrogens that help regulate hormone balance, especially during perimenopause and andropause. It's also neutral tasting, which means it pairs well with digestion-friendly spices like ginger, shiso, miso, and vinegar, amplifying its health benefits without additives. And here's what Westerners miss. Tofu is usually eaten cold or gently warmed, not deep-fried or drowned in sauce. That means it's preserved as a light, alkaline food that nourishes without triggering inflammation. And it's not used to replace anything. It's used to balance everything. In Japanese cuisine, tofu is part of a rotation. Not the star, not the villain, just one more piece of the metabolic puzzle. Elders eat it because it's soft, digestible, and protein-rich without spiking uric acid or cholesterol. Children eat it because it's mild and creamy. And middle-aged adults eat it because it keeps the belly flat. So if you've dismissed tofu as boring or not enough, take a cue from Japan. Add a few cubes to your miso soup, grill it lightly with sesame oil, mix it with greens and ponzu, It's not a fad. It's one of the most time-tested, fat-friendly foods on the planet. And the Japanese figured that out centuries before we slapped plant-based on a label. 10. They eat with all 5 senses. And that changes everything. Let's wrap this segment with one of the most subtle but powerful habits that separates Japanese eating culture from the rest of the world. They eat with their eyes, nose, ears, fingers, and mouth. Every time. In Japan, food is never just fuel. It's a multi-sensory ritual that activates satiety before the first bite. And that's not woo. It's neuroscience. A 2022 brain imaging study from Kyoto University found that meals that engaged at least 4 senses led to a 35% faster activation of satiety centers in the brain and 27% lower total calorie intake, even when portion sizes were identical. Let that sink in. Just making the meal look and feel better caused people to eat less and feel more satisfied. Japanese meals do this on purpose. Bowls are mismatched to create visual intrigue. Dishes are arranged for color contrast and height. You hear the crunch of pickles, smell the steam of rice, feel the lacquered chopsticks in your hand. Everything has a texture, a sound, a story, and that's by design. It forces you to slow down, to chew, to experience your food, not just consume it. Compare that to the beige, textureless sludge most Westerners eat, in plastic containers under fluorescent lights. There's no sensory feedback, so we overeat, because the brain never gets the memo that says, we're good. In Japan, the meal ends naturally, not because the plate is empty, but because the experience feels complete. That's not indulgence. That's biological alignment. So if your meals are rushed, bland, or monotonous, try this. Add color, add crunch, add aroma. Use a real bowl. Light a candle. Plate your food like it matters, because it does. Japan proves that satisfaction doesn't come from fullness, it comes from richness of experience. And when your senses are satisfied, your body stops craving more. 9. They eat bitter foods daily. And it's a built-in craving killer. Here's a powerful Japanese secret almost nobody in the West talks about. Bitter foods kill cravings. Not suppress them, not delay them, eliminate them at the root. By calming the nervous system, activating digestion, and rebalancing taste receptors that have been hijacked by sweet, salty, hyper-processed junk. In Japan, bitter vegetables like goya, bitter melon, shiso leaves, daikon radish tops, mustard greens, and sancho pepper are regular fixtures in everyday meals. Not because they're trendy, but because they work. A 2022 clinical study from Osaka Institute of Nutritional Science found that daily intake of bitter vegetables significantly reduced ghrelin levels, your hunger hormone, and increased PYY and GLP-1, the exact same satiety hormones, targeted by high-end weight loss drugs. Think about that. These bitter foods naturally rewire your hunger. But that's just the start. Bitter compounds like memorticin, isothiocyanates, and sesquiterpenes also stimulate bile production, support liver detoxification, and improve fat digestion, especially post-meal. Japanese cuisine makes space for these foods in tiny but potent quantities. A few shreds of bitter pickled greens alongside rice, thin-sliced goya in stir-fry, dabs of karashi mustard, or grated daikon on grilled fish. They're not there to taste good. They're there to rebalance the body. Meanwhile, in the West, we've removed bitter entirely from our diets. We even breed it out of vegetables, sweeter lettuces, blander greens, everything covered in dressing. And what's the result? Out-of-control cravings, blood sugar spikes, constant snacking. In Japan, the palate is more sophisticated. Children are introduced to bitter flavors early, not hidden behind sugar, but paired with umami-rich foods that enhance tolerance over time. The result? A culture where people are satisfied faster, eat less, and are metabolically tuned to natural cues. So if you're always chasing your next snack, do this. Add bitter to your plate, a pinch of radish, a splash of strong green tea, a slice of citrus rind, or even a sprinkle of dandelion greens. At first, it's jarring. Then it's clarifying. And before long, your gut, your hormones, and your brain will stop demanding stimulation, because they're already full. Bitter is balance. And Japan figured it out long before supplements ever existed. 8. They eat breakfast like it's medicine, not a cheat meal. Let's destroy a Western myth right now. Breakfast isn't optional. It's not a cheat meal. And in Japan, it's not an afterthought. It's the most structured, nutrient-dense meal of the day. Think grilled fish, miso soup, pickled vegetables, rice, seaweed, tamagoyaki, rolled egg, and maybe even natto, fermented soybeans. That's a fat-burning cocktail, if there ever was one. Why? Because it's high in protein, rich in probiotics, low in sugar, and perfectly timed to coincide with the body's natural cortisol awakening response, a hormonal window when digestion, energy, and metabolism are peaking. A 2023 study from the Japanese Society for Chrononutrition found that people who consumed high-protein, low-sugar breakfasts before 8:30 a.m. had greater insulin sensitivity, reduced belly fat, and fewer cravings for refined carbs later in the day. Let that sink in. Japan doesn't start the day with pastries, syrup, or coffee bombs. They start with fish and fermented food, and their blood sugar stays stable until lunch. Even school children eat this way. In fact, Japanese schools serve breakfast to ensure no child starts the day without umami-based nourishment that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calms anxiety, and preps the gut for optimal nutrient absorption. Compare that to sugary cereals and frothy lattes, and it's no wonder Japan has 1/10 the obesity rate. There's also a cultural reverence for breakfast. You don't eat it in the car or on the go. You sit, you chew, you eat quietly. The food is warm, comforting, and grounding, and that signals safety to the nervous system, which then allows fat-burning pathways to activate instead of hoarding mode. Want to adopt this? Ditch the Pop-Tart. Start with miso soup and a boiled egg, or a bowl of rice, pickles, and a few strips of grilled salmon. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be structured, savory, and nutrient-dense. Because in Japan, breakfast isn't fuel. It's therapy. And the body burns fat better when it starts the day centered. 7. They eat soup twice a day, and it's metabolic insurance. This one is shockingly simple, but wildly effective. In Japan, most people eat soup not once, but twice per day, often starting with a warm bowl at breakfast and finishing the day with another at dinner. And no, we're not talking heavy, creamy chowders or calorie bombs in a cup. These are light, mineral-rich broths, miso, dashi, clear soups with seaweed, tofu, scallions, or mushrooms. It's not just comfort food, it's metabolic insurance. A 2022 clinical trial from the Tokyo Endocrine Research Institute found that people who consumed soup at 2 meals per day, especially miso-based or fermented broths, had 21% improved digestion scores, lower post-meal glucose, and better nutrient absorption. But that's just the surface. These soups hydrate the gut, warm the digestive organs, promote gastric motility, and increase satiety with almost no calories. That's like cheating, except it's thousands of years old. The warm temperature signals the vagus nerve to activate the parasympathetic system. The fermented components like miso provide probiotics, and the seaweed adds minerals like iodine and magnesium, which support thyroid function. That is your fat-burning command center. And don't forget, when you eat soup, you eat slower, you chew more, you feel full faster. It creates a sensory slowdown that suppresses overeating and supports hormonal balance. In Japan, soup is never a side item. It's an integral part of the rhythm of a meal. Even convenience store bentos come with instant miso packets. Elders sip broth after dinner instead of dessert. And kids are taught early that if your stomach feels weird, start with soup. So if you're looking for one habit to lower inflammation, improve digestion, and naturally reduce intake without tracking or fasting, adopt the Japanese soup schedule. Twice a day. Light, warm, salty, and fermented. It reboots your gut, hydrates your system, and creates a metabolic floor you can build the rest of your day on. Soup isn't a trend in Japan. It's a pillar, and it works because it's simple. 6. They move after eating. Always, even just a little. Let me give you one of the most powerful Japanese weight management secrets, and it has nothing to do with exercise, supplements, or willpower. It's this: they don't sit still after meals. Even just 10 minutes of gentle walking, standing, or cleaning up after eating can radically shift your metabolic profile, and in Japan, it's built into the culture. There's even a term for it: shokugo no undo, or post-meal movement. A 2023 population study from the Japanese Ministry of Health and Welfare found that individuals who engaged in just 15 minutes of light walking or household activity within 30 minutes of a meal had lower fasting insulin levels, reduced triglycerides, and measurably lower visceral fat, even without changing diet or exercise routines. How does this work? Because glucose gets used immediately. Blood sugar doesn't spike. Fat storage pathways are down-regulated, and digestion is actually enhanced through the gentle compression of movement. In Japan, you'll see people walking quietly through parks after dinner. School kids go outside after lunch to stretch or clean. Office workers stroll the block after a midday bento. No gym, no gear, just rhythmic post-meal motion. Contrast that to the West, where we eat huge meals and then crash on the couch, in the car, or in a chair, letting glucose and insulin flood the system. That's the perfect storm for fat gain. Japan avoids that storm completely. They walk it off. Want to mimic it? After lunch or dinner, set a 10-minute timer. Do the dishes. Take a walk around the block. Sweep the floor. Stretch. Move. You'll feel lighter, digest better, and avoid that heavy, sluggish fog that leads to late-night snacking. It's easy, it's free, and it's not exercise, it's maintenance. Japan proves that what you do after eating matters more than what you eat sometimes. Movement doesn't have to be hard. It just has to be timed right. 5. They never eat the same meal twice. And that's strategic. Here's one of the most genius Japanese habits that completely rewires metabolism, and almost nobody in the West practices it. They don't eat the same meal twice in a row, not because they're bored, Because metabolic variety is built into the system. A 2023 study by the Japan Society of Dietary Diversity found that households that consumed 80+ unique food items per week had significantly better weight stability, lower inflammatory markers, and superior gut microbiome diversity compared to those with less than 40. That's twice the food variety, without eating more. This habit trains your metabolism to stay flexible. It prevents gut stagnation, food sensitivities, and hormonal rigidity that leads to plateaus. You might have miso soup today, but tomorrow it's changed. New mushrooms, different tofu, a different broth base, that grilled fish. One day it's mackerel, the next it's sardines. That rice bowl? Some days it has umeboshi, other times sesame seeds and nori flakes. And here's the thing, this variety isn't expensive or complicated. It's modular. You use what's in season, what's left over, what balances the meal, and in doing so, your gut never gets bored. Your insulin never gets lazy. Your nutrient density skyrockets. In the West, we're obsessed with meal prep, which usually means eating the exact same chicken and broccoli 5 days in a row. That's not nutrition. That's monotony. And your gut flora suffer. Japan's method teaches adaptability. Even convenience stores rotate bento box ingredients daily. And elders in Okinawa, some of the longest living people on Earth, report eating over 100 different foods per week, many in tiny, diverse amounts. Want to try this? Start with breakfast. Don't repeat the same one 2 days in a row. Rotate vegetables, grains, seaweeds, and spices. Treat each meal like a new composition. Your body will stop craving processed novelty because you're feeding it natural variety. In Japan, repetition is considered stagnation, and stagnation is the enemy of health. Keep it moving, keep it changing, because a flexible diet means a flexible metabolism, and that's the secret to staying slim for life. 4. They never eat alone, because food is a social contract, not a solo mission. Let me hit you with a truth bomb. Japan doesn't just eat meals, they share them, and that one cultural difference changes everything about metabolism, satiety, and long-term weight control. In the West, we've normalized eating in the car, at the desk, in bed, or while staring at a screen. But in Japan, eating alone is almost taboo. At schools, students eat together, facing each other at the table, and they're taught from the beginning that food is a shared experience, not a private escape. The Japanese word itadakimasu isn't just grace. It's a spoken moment of humility and gratitude, an acknowledgement of the farmer, the cook, the earth, and everyone present at the table. And that sense of communal rhythm regulates how you eat. A 2023 behavioral study from Nagoya University found that individuals who regularly ate with others had lower rates of emotional eating, greater dietary variety, and 18% lower BMI, regardless of calorie intake. Why? Because when you eat with others, you slow down, you talk, you pause between bites, you self-regulate unconsciously, and you're far less likely to binge when someone else is sitting across from you. Modeling moderation. But it goes deeper. Shared meals increase oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which helps suppress cortisol and stabilize blood sugar. You're not just full faster, you're emotionally regulated. Even Japanese workplaces observe this. Office workers step away from their desks for lunch. Families gather at the same time every night. Even elders in care homes eat in groups, often with music and gentle conversation. because that setting enhances digestion and improves hormonal balance. Meanwhile, in the West, we're snacking while doom scrolling, eating dinner alone in front of YouTube, and calling it normal. Japan says no. Eating is sacred. It's community. It's rhythm. Want to feel satisfied with less food? Sit down with someone. Put your phone away. Make eye contact. Share the silence. Because in Japan, eating is never just about calories. It's about connection. And that connection is what tells your brain, you're nourished. You're safe. You can stop now. That's how a culture stays slim. Meal after meal. Generation after generation. 3. They don't count calories. They count harmony. Here's a radical idea that will break every Western nutrition rule you've been taught. Japanese people don't count calories. They count balance. No MyFitnessPal. No macro spreadsheets. No obsession over numbers. Instead, every meal is built on an ancient framework called Ichiju Sansai. 1 soup, 3 dishes. That's it. A bowl of miso, a protein like grilled fish or tofu, a vegetable dish, something fermented, and rice. It's not portion control, it's composition control, and that changes everything. A 2022 analysis from the Japan Society of Dietary Sciences found that individuals who followed this balance-focused style of eating without tracking a single number maintained healthier waistlines, better gut diversity, and greater satiety compared to calorie-counting groups with optimized macros. Why? Because calories don't tell the whole story. 500 calories of processed food affects your body differently than 500 calories of rice, seaweed, and miso. Japanese meals aren't built to be low-cal. They're built to be complete. Each item brings something: enzymes, fiber, protein, probiotics, minerals. That synergy triggers hormonal responses. Leptin, GLP-1, peptide YY, that make your body stop craving more. In Western diets, we overfocus on quantity and ignore quality. Japan does the opposite. Meals are small, yes, but powerful. They're visually balanced. 5 colors, texturally diverse, crunchy, smooth, chewy, cooked with care. Boiled, grilled, fermented. And that sensory and nutritional complexity creates what scientists call sensory-specific satiety, the sense of satisfaction that isn't based on volume, but on completion. Kids are taught this from day one. Even convenience stores follow these ratios. Bento boxes with tiny compartments for soup, veggies, pickles, rice, and protein. It's not a gimmick. It's architecture. And it works because your metabolism doesn't speak in numbers. It speaks in signals. Give it the right signals, and you don't need a calculator. So if tracking calories makes you anxious, hungry, or obsessed, stop. Go Japanese. Count textures, colors, cooking methods, and flavors. Build your plate like a painting. Because when your food is complete, your cravings disappear. And when your cravings disappear, fat loss becomes automatic. 2, they make meals quiet. And that triggers real fullness. Here's a weight loss trick no influencer is talking about, but Japan lives by it. Meal after meal. They eat in silence. Not total silence, but focused, intentional quiet. No music blasting, no TVs screaming in the background, no podcasts, no TikTok, no scrolling while chewing. In Japanese homes, schools, and even offices, meals are seen as a sensory experience that deserves full attention. And that attention doesn't just make meals peaceful, it makes them more effective. A 2023 neurological study from the Tokyo Institute of Integrative Medicine found that people who ate in low-noise environments had 25% stronger activation in their insular cortex, the part of the brain that governs satiety, interoception, the awareness of bodily fullness, and food satisfaction, and that led to 22% lower total food intake, even with the exact same meal. Silence increases fullness. It strengthens the feedback loop between the gut and brain, and it reduces cortisol spikes that happen when we overstimulate during eating. Japanese culture makes space for this. Children are taught mokushoku, eating in quiet focus, not because they're being punished, because it trains awareness. And in adults, this carries forward. You'll see office workers at ramen shops, eating quietly, without phones. Elders in retirement homes, enjoying slow, undistracted meals. Even sushi chefs discourage loud conversation while eating, not because they're rude, but because the experience is sacred. Compare that to the Western dining experience. TVs on, music playing, phones buzzing, and our brains constantly multitasking. That chaos numbs your satiety cues and triggers stress eating. Japan rejects that chaos. They say, stop, listen, chew, smell, swallow. Let your nervous system come down while your digestion powers up. Want to feel full on less food? Turn everything off. Just eat. Feel the bite. Hear the crunch. Smell the broth. Let your body participate. Because when you create space for your meal, your body responds in kind with hormonal balance, better absorption, and the beautiful feeling of enough. Silence is not empty. It's metabolic clarity. And Japan has mastered it. 1. They treat eating like a craft, not a convenience. Here it is, the master habit, the invisible thread behind every Japanese weight loss secret. They don't just eat. They treat eating like a craft, like something worth doing well, slowly, and with skill, not a chore, not a reward, and definitely not a time saver. In Japan, meals are crafted. The rice is washed and steamed to exact texture. The miso is stirred gently, never boiled. Vegetables are cut in precise shapes to honor their season. The fish is grilled with nothing more than salt and turned only once, so the flesh doesn't break. It's not about being fancy. It's about respect. Respect for the food, for the process, for the act of nourishment itself. And when eating becomes a craft, overeating becomes almost impossible. A 2022 lifestyle study from the Japanese Cultural Nutrition Foundation found that individuals who spent more time on meal prep, even as little as 15 extra minutes, had lower waist-to-hip ratios, higher dietary variety, and better emotional resilience around food. Why? Because intention rewires behavior. When you treat cooking and eating as skills, not chores, your nervous system shifts out of survival mode. You slow down, you chew better, you stop when full, not stuffed, and your metabolism operates in sync with your actions. In Japan, that's baked into daily life. Even a simple breakfast is arranged with care. A bento box isn't a pile of food. It's a story told in 5 compartments. Children are taught to use chopsticks properly, serve others first, and finish the meal completely, not to clear the plate, but to honor the effort. And this mindset carries into adulthood. Food isn't something you get through. It's a moment to master. And when food is respected, digestion is smoother, satiety is stronger, and the space for fat gain disappears. Want to embody this? Start simple. Light a candle. Cut your vegetables with purpose. Plate your meal beautifully. Sit down. Eat with rhythm. It doesn't have to be complex. It just has to be crafted. Because in Japan, the act of eating is an art form. And when you master the craft, your body follows. That's not a hack. That's wisdom.